Right, this week we're going to learn how to search the literature a little bit. So there are a number of databases available that host research publications, and they have their own advanced search features. We're going to use PubMed in today's video. Keep in mind, you can also do this on Google Scholar or EBSCOhost or wherever you like to do your searches. And really, when you're doing a systematic review, you should have multiple databases um, that you search, not just the one. But to make this a video that we can get done in a reasonable amount of time, we'll just search PubMed here. And so this is going to, of course, start by going to PubMed, and we're greeted with this page. Lots of wonderful things here. What we're going to do is go into the advanced search. And we're going to be building ourselves, well, this big old search right here. We're going to do it one step at a time, and let's think about how we'll build this search. And what we start with is, of course, the question, right? What is it we're trying to answer in this literature search? Okay, so we need to think about our question as what we call a PICO question. Okay, PICO. So P would be the patient or the population. And in this case, let's think about adults with chronic low back pain. So we'll go with that. So we'll go chronic low back pain. And I'll make this a reasonable font size. All right. So that's my patient of interest. I want to know about people who have chronic low back pain and what's the intervention that I care about. Well, I'd like to know if some form of therapeutic exercise is going to be helpful here. C would be the comparison. So what do we want to compare therapeutic exercise against? And for right now, I'll leave it blank. And this is indeed optional. And I'll instead just think about what's the outcome. And obviously, well, pain. And we'll try to be specific. So let's say self-reported pain and disability. There's a couple of things I care about. How do they feel? And how well can they get around and do things? And that's what we call a PICO question, P-I-C-O. There are additional elements you can put in. You can make it a PCOTS question, or you could rearrange all of this and make a different acronym. You can make it optics, whatever works for you. But we might think about timing. Right here, we might specify, some number of weeks, and we might also think about setting. Right? Is this something that's done at home, in the clinic? Do we care? In this case, I don't know enough to care one way or the other, but these may very well be important elements in your search question. So let's see what we can do now using the basic PICO format to come up with search terms. And I like to start with my patient. So how can we find articles about chronic low back pain? All right, so we're going to start here in our search builder. And what we want to do is think about, well, what would they call chronic low back pain? And I feel like one of the things they would call it is chronic low back pain. So we could just put chronic low back pain here, right? And let's just go ahead and we'll add that and let's search it and see what we get. Okay, we got about 9,392 things that came up when we just searched chronic low back pain. Now, this is searching for the actual phrase chronic low back pain. So what if they call it something else? What if it's chronic lower back pain? Okay, we can go back to the drawing board, right? And we can say, all right, let's go with chronic low back pain, and we'll add that. And Let's also look for chronic lower back pain. And now we see over here this says not add but and, because you can choose from a few Boolean operators. So if I use and here, this says it has to mention both chronic low back pain and chronic lower back pain. Okay, let me search that one, and I'll leave this here. And notice now we're only getting 115 results. Ooh, we really restricted the search by using ands because we have to have both criteria fulfilled. I need this exact phrase, and I need this exact phrase. What if we change this to or? So now we're getting, oh man, I forgot what our original search yielded. How many was it? Okay, we went from 9,392 to 9,765 by having that or chronic lower back pain. Okay, just a reminder. So, okay, great. Now the other option is I could say not. Okay, so I want to have chronic low back pain, but I do not want any article where they say chronic lower back pain. Do any of those exist? Yeah, a lot. Okay, so chronic low back pain is used a whole lot more commonly than chronic lower back pain, but I'd like to capture both. And man, I don't want to use all of these letters. Okay, so how can I get around that? I can use the wildcard operator. Okay, just for comparison, I'll say, what does it look like if we search for either of those? 9,765. But let's put an asterisk at the end of low. And so what this will look for is chronic low and anything there. It could be low, it could be lower, doesn't matter. Right, we search that. Oh, look at that. Same exact number of results. I know the top ones are different, but I'm telling you, it's going to be the same. It's the same articles, they're just displayed in a different order. Okay, so we've now used something called the wild card, the asterisk here, to give us flexibility in what we look for. Okay, now this is not specifying any field at all. It's searching everywhere. And there's a lot of different places I could look. I could look in the authors, I could look in the title, the abstract. And so if we click here on this all fields button, you'll see there's a lot of things I can search. Now I think if it's an article on chronic low back pain, that's probably going to be in the title and abstract. So let me put this up here. I'll clear that out. And this is just so you can see how we're going to add that field. How do we restrict chronic low back pain to just the title and abstract? We put it in brackets, just like that. Okay, now you'll notice I've been using this add button over here. I don't actually like that because look what it did. It threw a set of parentheses on here. And I promise you, these will get annoying as you build more complex searches. Okay, so now let's give us a search. How are we looking? Pretty similar. Okay, we took out a few articles here. You can see we went from 9,765 to 9,753. Okay, so there were 12 articles that didn't list chronic low, in some version of that, back pain in the title and abstract. But it was somewhere else in the article. Okay, but if it's not in the title and abstract, to me, that article is probably not about chronic low back pain. Okay, so let me close these out. So I could look there. Now, is there another way I could look for this idea? Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they're not calling it chronic low back pain, but it's some form of chronic pain that deals with the back. All right, another option, instead of looking in the title and abstract, another thing I want you to get used to using are these mesh terms. Okay, ME, medical, S, subject, H, heading, medical subject heading terms. So maybe they have one for chronic low back pain. Let me start typing here, chronic low, and now I'll click show index. What do we have? Ooh, we don't have anything for chronic low back pain. What if I put just back? No, got cough. So what I'm going to do instead, chronic pain. Okay, I click on that and notice now what is it doing? In the brackets, instead of writing title and abstract, it writes mesh terms. I'm not going to click. Instead, I'm going to highlight, cut, and I'm going to add it. Now, notice this. I use an or. Why am I doing this? Well, I want to either find the articles that deal with chronic low back pain in the title and abstract, or mention chronic pain somewhere in them so that a person has applied this mesh term, right? Some librarian saw the article and said, hey, that deals with chronic pain. And so this is a manually applied term. Now, I don't want any kind of chronic pain. I want a very specific kind. So let's build in here. I wanted to mention chronic pain in some way, and I wanted to have something to do with the lower back. Okay, so here's a problem. I can't just write low parentheses because low only has 3 letters and PubMed wants 4 or it's unhappy. Oh no! So I have to write like this. I want low back mentioned in the title or abstract, or it could be lower back. Okay, what am I going to do here? I need to have another set of parentheses. Okay, very important that we keep track of our parentheses. Very important. Let's give this a search and let's see what we come up with. So I'll search this and let's keep in mind what's going on. We're looking for any article that has chronic low or lower back pain in the title and abstract, or I'll also accept articles that, in this set of parentheses here, mention chronic pain somewhere in there, right? So that somebody applied the mesh term for chronic pain, and also mention something about the low back or lower back in the title and abstract. Okay, so what do we get when we search this? Okay, we got 10,734 results. All right, let's get rid of all those parentheses. I'll go ahead and clear all of my parentheses out here and see if that changes anything. So we went from 10,734 to 18,774. Why is that? Well, let's read this from left to right. I want articles that mention chronic low or lower back pain in the title and abstract. Or I'll take articles that mention chronic pain as a mesh term and low back somewhere in the title and abstract. Or I'll take articles that mention lower back in the title and abstract. Watch this. I'll shift the order here. This shouldn't change anything. Whoa, but it changes everything. Now I have this uncontrolled or statement here. And that means I'll look for all this stuff to the left, or I'll just take this. So any article that mentions low back in the title and abstract is going to come up in this search. This is not what we want. No, no, no. We want to control our search with parentheses so that either one of these criteria are fulfilled. That makes this one okay. And then for this to be fulfilled altogether, I need both chronic pain to be mentioned and either one of these, low back or lower back. Okay, and at this point, I think I fulfilled my P. My patient is pretty well represented. I got thousands of articles to look at. Now I want to move on to my I. So I got my patient. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take all those search terms and we're going to put an and in between. So we're building search terms for the patient. We want to find that. And then within all of those articles related to folks with chronic low back pain, we want them to deal with this intervention, therapeutic exercise. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing, right? But now we're going to build another statement here in parentheses to deal with our intervention. Okay, well, let's see if we got some mesh terms. So I happen to search this enough. I know there's an exercise therapy mesh term. I'm not going to click to add this. No. I'm going to cut and paste down here. Now there's only there are very specific sets of mesh terms. So if you want to find a mesh term, you got to put it in here and you got to search by clicking show index. So if I put therapeutic exer and then look, oh, therapeutic exercise isn't a mesh term. Instead, we have exercise therapy. So you're going to have to do a little bit of playing and hunting to try to find that mesh term. Okay, and again, these are applied by humans. So what if they missed it? Well, I'll also take if they mention it in the title or abstract. All right, so we'll build that there. So I'm looking for the mesh term exercise therapy, or if they mention exercise therapy in the title or abstract, or maybe they call it something different, right? Maybe they call it therapeutic exercise. That would make sense. And who's going to do this stuff? Well, physical therapists will. So I'm going to add another one here that I happen to know exists because I search it all the time. Physical therapy modalities. Okay. And I'm going to cut that out and put that there. Now, I don't want any modalities. I really want just those that deal with exercise. So I'm going to make this restrictive. So I needed to mention physical therapy modalities, and I needed to also say the word exercise. Right? I don't want like, icing or something like that to show up or anything under the sun. No. I want it to be, we're doing some kind of a physical therapy intervention. That's what this is grabbing here. And they mention exercise. That probably also deals with some form of therapeutic exercise. So now I've got my I. Make this a little bigger. So I captured my P here with all this chronic pain stuff and low back. And I've got my I here where I'm mentioning exercise therapy as a mesh term or in the title and abstract, or maybe they call it therapeutic exercise. Or there's this combination of it's a physical therapy modality study that mentions exercise. I've got my I. Now I build another and to connect us, and now I need my outcome. Okay, so here pain is already going to be kind of baked in, so we don't need to worry about that. Instead, we want to put in, well, what are some common outcomes? Outcome measures that look at back pain. So the Oswestry, right, that's one. It's also called the ODI. And I'm going to look for all these things in the title and abstract. You can absolutely build them up here, do the title abstract thing. I just happen to know how to do it this way. I type the brackets. Another option, the Roland Morris Disability Questionnaire. Maybe they mention that one. Also called the RMDQ. Look for that in the title and abstract. There's the Quebec Back Pain Disability Scale, I think it's called. Quebec Back Pain. I'm not going to write the rest of that in the title and abstract. Or it's the Quebec Back Pain Disability Scale. Pretty sure that's what that stands for. Or maybe it's just going to be some kind of a pain rating scale. Something kind of generic. Oops. You know what? Let's just call it rating scale. Or it mentions they have a thing called a low back pain rating scale. Maybe they mentioned that abbreviation. Oh, and I've got my O. So I got my P and my I and my O. Okay, so if we search that, what do we get? 372. Well, that's not so bad. Let's restrict it though. I really just want randomized controlled trials. So I'm going to select publication type, and that's what's going to go in the brackets. And I'm going to look for randomized controlled trial. Not the veterinary kind, yeah, the human kind. So we click there, and there's my term. So after I find my P, my I, and my O, I also want it to be in randomized controlled trials. We search that, and we've got 225 of these things. Okay, that's not so bad there. Now, we could absolutely apply filters over here. I could have clicked clinical trial, randomized controlled trial. I could look for reviews, right? If I was conducting a systematic review, I would not add this randomized controlled trial type because I'd want to know other systematic reviews that are done on this topic so that I can include them, look through their citations, make sure I'm not missing anything, but just to get an idea of what primary studies are out there so that I know, should I be doing a review? There's 225 of these that might apply. I need to go through and filter based on title and abstract. Does the title seem to make sense? Efficacy of therapeutic aquatic exercise versus physical therapy modalities. Yeah, they've got exercise, and maybe I care about aquatic. Who knows? Okay, lumbar stabilization walking exercise. Yeah, that's probably applicable, right? I'm going to have to maybe go a little further so we can click on one of these and then read the abstract. Is this something that we want to keep? Yes. No, it depends on our PICO question, of course. How can we keep track of all this? Let's go back to my results. If it's me, I'm going to save this. And not all results on this page, but all of my results as a comma-separated value file. All right, so we'll save this, and we'll put it on my my desktop. And let's go with a new Google Sheet. If you like Excel, by all means use Excel. Any sheet will do. We just want to have a place where we can work. All right, so I'll just upload this on here. And okay, there we go. These are my PubMed results. And now I can work on here. You know, I could delete, or I could, you know, do the strike through if I wanted. I don't want to do that. I actually prefer to have a couple of columns to keep me organized. So did I screen it yet? Do I want to include it? And I need some kind of a link. Okay, how can we generate links? It's very simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine www.pubmed.gov /PMID equals, I think those are what the links look like. Let's open one up. Oh, no, that was stupid. Let's put this in. And so we're going to take their web address and put that on the end. And let's go ahead and do this for all of them. And no, you don't need to be able to do this, but we can use an array formula to go ahead and do all of that. Do these links work? Let's find out. It should start with cognitive functional. There we go. Okay. So I got some way of having a link so I can go and look at the article, because this gives me the title, and that's nice. But I don't see the abstract. What if I want to see, well, okay, what did they actually do here? I should be able to click on a link, and check the abstract. Okay, and then after I read this, let's say, oh yeah, this looks awesome. This fits my PICO question, right? Then I'm going to go into one of these columns, and let me just give myself a little checkbox here. This is how I like to work. I'd say, yes, I screened it. Yes, I'll include it, right? We go through this one. Yeah, I screened it. Let's include it. Here I screened it. I don't want to include it. Here I screened it. I don't want to include that. And this one and this one. Right, so you can keep track of which ones have you done yet. Right, they got the checkbox. Which ones do you need to do? They have no checkbox. And then in the end, which ones do I include? So this is a way for you to know that you've gone through all of these couple hundred results and which ones you want to keep. You need to develop your own system that works for you. This is just a very simple way that I have that'll get the job done for me. Okay, so let's say we've decided we like some of these. How are we looking here? Let's grab this one. Effects of manual therapy and exercise in patients with chronic low back pain. Double blind. Great. This is the one. I want this. Okay, I need to get the full text. All right. I see I can go to Sage Journals, right? This doesn't always look like this. Let's go to our first one. What do we have as options? Oh, there's JAMA Open. That's good. So that would be a link to the full text. If you ever see PMC, PubMed Central, that's a link to the full text. Check it out. I can read the whole article here. We're not going to do that here. That would take way too long. Okay, that's cool. And then I got this one. There's no PubMed Central. Does this work? Maybe it does. Ooh, nice. This one works. Okay, cool. So we might have good luck that way, right? Let's see if we can find one where we don't have good luck. Let's find one. We don't want the free ones. How about this one? Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, I don't think we'll have access. Okay. So we click here. Oh, we got access. All right, I'm just having too good a luck. Let's find one that we can't find so I can show you how to hunt. Okay, this wants me to purchase a PDF. No, thank you. I would rather not. I got a lot of things I got to spend my money on, and this ain't one of them. Plus, in all likelihood, the author paid to have this published. So why am I paying you again? Okay, don't I pay taxes? So I'm going to highlight this DOI, this direct object identifier. I can get it here, or back here, PubMed gives it to me. We want to highlight that and copy it to our clipboard. And we'll go to scholar.google.com. And we search it. Okay, here are my options. I can get this, and sometimes this works. Okay, cool. For whatever reason, when I come in through Google Scholar's back door there, I can access the full text. So always try that. Always try searching. Hey, look, what's the difference? I came from Google Scholar. I can see it. I didn't. I can't. Okay, so there's one option. The other option, and by no means do you have to use this, is Sci-Hub. Is this dodgy? Sure, it looks like it. But the whole idea here is that everyone should be able to access scientific publications, because in one way or another, you probably paid for it. So what we can do is put in our DOI. Hopefully this check. Hey, look at that. And we can find it that way. So there's another option. If you don't like that, and Google Scholar didn't work out for you, then you need to get some good old interlibrary loans going. It's very straightforward. You'll go in, you'll fill out the form, you'll give them the DOI, and in a couple of days, you'll get the full text. I don't want to wait a couple of days, so I search elsewhere. This will probably, you'll need this, 1-2% of the time, but when you need it, it sure is handy to have it. When we were screening a couple thousand articles, I think I used this maybe a dozen times, and they came through. It just took a couple of days instead of being instantaneous. Okay, so now we know how to search. What we're going to do then is we have to look through those articles, right? And let's go back. We'll go the non-dodgy way. We have to look through these articles and we have to pull out whatever data we're looking for. So what were my, back pain scores? Okay, there's my baseline. How did they change? I have to pull these numbers out so I can do the next step of systematic review, which is organizing them into a table. Or, as we're going to do next week, combining or synthesizing the results from multiple studies in a process called meta-analysis. Okay, so this week what we're going to do is just practice writing some search terms, right? That's what it's all about. Can we come up with a big old fancy thing like this that we think fits our PICO question of interest? So that's what we're going to be doing. If you have any questions along the way, make sure you use that questions box so I know what to help you with. Happy searching.